All right, let's get our rounding numbers activities set up. So you're going to need your deck of cards, your aces to your nines. And so you're taking out your jokers, your jacks, queens, and kings. Shuffle those cards really good. And what you're going to do is you're going to use 3 cards for each of your numbers. And so how that's going to look is on your paper, you will have a spot for 3 cards. And I'm just going to do a rough sketch for you so you know what that looks like. You're gonna have a card in the ones place and then your decimal point. You'll have a card in the tenths place and a card in the hundredths place, okay? So let me label those. We have the ones place, and then you have your decimal point. You have your tenths, and then your hundredths. And I'm just labeling this on this paper so that you know where the cards are going to go. When you do it on your table, you don't necessarily need this piece of paper, but know that your first card will be in the ones, your second card tenths, your third card hundredths. On your piece of paper, title your activity rounding numbers at the top of your paper. Your first column will be where we're rounding to the tenths place. So label that column 1 through 8. You're going to do 8 different examples. Your second column will be where we're rounding to the hundredths place and label that 1 through 8. You'll do 8 examples for that one as well. So let's focus on the tenths place first. I'm going to put over 3 cards. So I have a 6, a 9, and an 8. And so I'm just going to let you see my table really quick. You'll see that I have a 6 in the ones place, and a 9 in the tenths place, and an 8 in the hundredths place. So that's going to give me the number 6.98. So 6 and 98 hundredths. However, I'm rounding to the tenths place. So I'm going to look at which value is in the tenths place. That value is a 9. I have a 9 in the tenths place. So I need to figure out if 98 is going to round to 90, or if it's going to bump my whole number up to 7. Remember, when you're rounding, you're looking at the value after that place. So I have an 8 here. 8 is going to bump that 9 all the way up. So if I'm rounding 6.98, that ends up giving me actually 7 wholes. So although I'm rounding to the tenths place, this is going to bump up. 98 would bump up to 100, right? And so that would change my whole number to a 7. That one's a little bit tricky. Let's look at another example. I'll put those cards aside. So I'm going to get my 3 cards here. I have a 9 in the ones place, an 8 in the tenths place, and a 5 in the hundredths place. So that gives me 9.85. 9 and 85 hundredths. So I'm looking at the value after the tenths place, which is the 8. 9.85. So the 5 is after the 8, I'm sorry. And so because that 5 in the hundredths place is 5 or more, that's going to cause my 8 to bump up. So I'm going to have 9.9. Rounding to the nearest tenths place. 85 will bump up to 90, or 9.9. Okay, so then when I go over, I'm going to finish that and do that 8 times. Then I'm going to go over to the hundredths column. Instead of 3 cards, I'm going to use 4 cards because I need a thousandths place. So I'm going to put 4 cards over. I have 7.883 are the cards that I pulled up. 7 and 883 thousandths. So if I'm looking to round to the hundredths place, I need to look at that last number, that 3. Is that 3 going to cause my 8 to stay an 8, or is it going to cause my 8 to bump up to a 9? Well, 3 is less than 5. Remember, if this number is 5 or greater, that's what causes us to round up. If it's below 5, so 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, my 8 will stay an 8, or whatever number is in the hundreds place will stay that number. So my 7 and 883 thousandths is going to round to 7 and 88 hundredths. Go ahead and do that for the remaining 8.